Zach, I wanted to ask you about Jake Constantine, a guy that you guys have said has made improvements and stuff, and I guess today kind of saw a lot of it. What has stood out about him this spring to you?
Yeah, Jake has come a long ways. When he got here, trying to learn the offense. Like I've said before, it's tough. So he's starting to settle in. Things are starting to slow down a little bit. He's got this natural accuracy, that a lot of quarterbacks don't have, and it's tough to teach. So he can kind of find holes and drop balls in and have some good touch over the top, and that showed up today. It was good seeing him having some confidence and having some success.
What did impress you about what he did? I mean, like you said, he had some touch on some of those long balls, and then obviously he was pretty accurate, it looked like, too.
Yeah.
A lot of his throws.
Yeah, I mean, he's got good fundamentals, and he can get it out quick. And you need that as a quarterback, especially at this level. And again, he's got that kind of that good feel for defenses and spots and how to touch it over a guy or something like that. And he also he's not crazy athletic, but he is slippery in the pocket. So he'll find ways to kind of leak out and extend plays. And we saw that a few times today too, where he'll find a guy that's broken off a route or something like that. And, he's just kind of slippery.
How have your receivers been developing today? At least watching it look like you had a lot of different people catch passes.
We did. We're very thin right now at the receiver position and at O-line. So we only had a couple guys going today, 5 or 6. But they're getting a ton of reps and they're getting better. And that's been our main emphasis, through spring, is just building that confidence, trying to play fast and go execute. And they did. They executed today and made some big plays. And we're early on in spring. We struggled, and we've had practices where it's been pretty frustrating. But they came out today and they were focused, executed what we were asked them to do. And the one-on-ones is where we were struggling a little bit. Now we started turning the tides a little bit on one-on-one playmaking.
At running back and with Madison out, it seems like Wolpen's a guy that's kind of stepped up. What have you seen out of Wolpen, and how much is this spring ball, or how much is this you think you can see this next fall?
Yeah, Wolpen is one of those guys that's been really consistent all the way through spring. He knows the offense. He's a very smart kid. He's elusively agile with ways we can kind of slip into stuff and find ways to get yards. And he's a very tough kid, and that's what really has stuck out in spring so far. He's one of those kids. You can put him in different positions, and he gets it. And so he's been that consistent back for us. And then Robert Mahone has had some highs and some lows, and he's still young and learning it, but it's got a big upside. And, in the fall, it will be nice to get Alexander back. So
now that we're almost through spring ball and the co is removed from your title and you're just the offensive coordinator, is it at all different? Did you spend a little more time learning, about each and every position or whatnot this year than maybe last year? Or?
Well, with the changes in staff, you're trying to get everybody on the same page. So as a collective offensive staff, we're talking through each play, and we're just trying to do a good job of being on the same page, and here's our terminology and here's how we're teaching it. I would say it's been fun, being in charge of the offense and having that opportunity to call plays, where I'm not just slipping in with a call here and there, getting into these scrimmages and trying to get into a flow, and it's starting to show a little bit today.
You talk about being thin and stuff. You don't have your number one receiver, your number one running back, maybe 4 linemen that you project to start aren't out there. How hard is it for you to see what you have with this group in spring and how, to see if you're making progress and things like that when a lot of these guys may not be having big roles this fall?
It's been a challenge, but it's also been fun and fun for those guys that are getting reps that may not have gotten reps. Even some of the walk-on guys are getting good reps and figuring things out and making mistakes. And hey, we're just, again, trying to be confident in what we're doing. So hey, mistakes are going to happen, and we learn from it. We're trying to do it with the tempo of our offense. There's not a lot of coaching that can be done on the field, so it's a lot of film stuff. And those guys are phenomenal. Our whole team does a great job of, not just when we're meeting as coaches, they're getting in there watching film and doing things on their own. And the older guys that may, some of them again are out right now, they're grabbing those guys and taking them in and talking to them, through things. So it's not just the coaches having to, go through meetings with those guys. They spend a ton of hours too. I mean, if we're here till 8, 9, 10 during the spring, so are those guys. So,
as you said, obviously there's been ups and downs here in the spring, of course, that's to be expected. But at this point, is the offense where you were maybe hoping? Are you seeing the things that you were kind of expecting to at this point?
It's tough. It's tough because, again, you don't have a lot of those guys you're going to have them fall and going into game one. So there, again, there's challenges, there's been ups and downs, and there's been some frustration and some adversity that those guys have to go through. But that is good, and one of the things we talk about is, hey, welcome adversity. Okay, things are going to happen, whether it's travel stuff on the road and something happens and schedules change. Hey, no big deal. Okay, let's go. Weather, or whatever it is. Talk about just welcome adversity. So we've had a lot of adversity through the first part of spring, and but it's fun seeing those guys step up. It's fun, seeing the game start to slow down for them, and we're going to create a lot of depth because of it.
Have you seen maybe Brett grow throughout this too? Because you compare kind of what he's lining up with right now to the Cactus Bowl. Like Jake Rowe's the only guy out there that he has familiarity with in those regards.
Yeah, and he's done a wonderful job with being patient and not getting frustrated, and knowing that hey, those guys are learning, and he's not with the guys that he's used to throwing with, but he's done a great job with it, and he just tries to communicate as much as possible and get on the same page with those guys, and that's what spring's all about.
Zach, how have the tight ends come along?
Tight ends are doing great. They're in that position. There's a lot of banging. You're in the box. You're out running routes and stuff. So I'm sure there's some soreness, with those guys. But it's really nice having big athletes, and whether that's in the pass game and for Brett, having big targets over the middle, or whether that's in the run game and being able to put all those guys in there and having some beef to be able to run the ball too. So we can get in and out of a lot of different formations within those heavier personnels. And we saw it a little bit today with getting into some empty stuff, on the goal line and isolating a guy and a backer. And so in retrospect, it's nice having those guys. Yeah.